After a long off-season, we are back. It is time to start the 2024 campaign of the USF Pro Championships presented by Continental Tire. Hello, race fans. My name is Rob Howden. Looking forward to the start of this new season of competition. Packed fields in all of the programs here in the USF Pro Championships. We are here at the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. Time to get things underway. We've got back-to-back qualifying sessions to start off the weekend here in Florida. Looking forward to it. Of course, the Concrete Canyon that is the St. Petersburg racetrack is ready to take a number of drivers from the USF Pro Championships. We'll get things underway with the USF Pro 2000 category, going right then into qualifying for USF 2000. Get ready to start the 2024 season. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our first broadcast of the 2024 season of the USF Pro Championships presented by Continental Tire. My name is Rob Howden, and yes, the sounds you hear, if you're trackside or are tuning in to the USF Pro Championships YouTube channel or watching on the downloadable app, those are race cars. USF Pro 2000, the very top rung of our USF Pro Championships ladder, had a fantastic opening session. All you could have asked for the first drivers to get onto the racetrack. Clean and green through the entire run. Lockie Hughes was the quickest driver coming out of the gate for Turn 3 Motorsports. The driver who was such a part of the championship battle last year in USF 2000, running for Turn 3 here this year, a 110.5. Frankie Mossman, Chase Denmark, Christian Brooks, and Nikita Johnson, the top 5 drivers in that morning session. But it is time to qualify for the Foundation Building Materials Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. So excited to get the new season underway after a bit of haze earlier today, some fog, some cooler winds. It is now 76 degrees trackside. Everything you would come to expect from a trip here to St. Petersburg and the season opening event here, the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. Always a tremendous time. And again, as I said, my name is Rob Howden. Big hello to those of you tuned in around the country and around the world. As you know, we have an international field here for the drivers in the USF Pro 2000 Championship. 8 countries represented. The USA, of course, Canada, Ireland, Brazil, Mexico, New Zealand, Colombia, and Australia. Wherever you are, thank you so much for tuning in today. I'll be joined by the voice of this Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, Mr. Todd Lewis. Todd, excellent session to start. All we wanted was green flag, and we got it through and through. This is going to be a lot of fun to watch these drivers at the very top rung of the USF Pro Championships.
Great session, as you mentioned this morning. The only practice session for the drivers. It's qualify and then racing on the weekend. So now they've taken all that they learned in that practice session this morning. They had a chance to have conversations with their team and get going. What did they learn? What did they decide? How do you approach this qualifying session?
Exactly that. And again, they know they have lots of time as well. Also, the first opportunity for them to get on this racetrack with brand new sticker Continental tires as well. They used a carryover set of tires from our spring training event last week at NOLA Motorsports Park. That's what they had on track for the very first session. They did a tremendous job there. We'll put fresh rubber on here now. And with 3 sets of tires to run through qualifying and a couple of races, what do? You're very likely going to get one race with fresh tires, right? Brand new stickers. Or do you bed them in? Like, do you want to do a heat cycle on all 3 of your sets? One you're going to run really aggressively here in qualifying. I would expect they'll come out, do 3 or 4 laps, get a feel for the changes they made from the morning warm-up session, the practice session, and then go to fresh rubber after making maybe another adjustment.
We'll see. Jace Denmark is up on top in the early going, very early going. We don't want to read too much into that, but not surprising to see that name up on top.
No, listen, Jace Denmark, a multi-time year driver here in the USF Pro Championships, did his time in USF 2000, was a winner there, made his debut in USF Pro 2000 last year. Very impressive young man from Scottsdale, Arizona. He's going to be in the booth with us actually this afternoon, Todd, for the USF 2000 race. Great to have him with us as well, but I think he'd more than be happy to sit with us as the pole sitter for race number 1.
Undoubtedly, that will put him in a much better mood this afternoon as he joins us for the race. So this is the opportunity. A couple of laps in, drivers will have a feel for the fresh rubber that they put on the car and understand what's taken place with any changes that they've made. And it's an opportunity for the drivers to provide more feedback as well, as that I like this change or I don't like this change.
Yeah. And you mentioned it. We talked about it this morning when we were off air for the morning practice session. They were on track at a very dirty racetrack, as we know. I said Lockie Hughes was the quickest driver. They were able to get kind of a groove rolled in. The USF 2000 drivers went out. And then, of course, we just had a sports car group out there as well. So the track is in much better condition than it was when they were on track here this morning at 8:45.
You can see through some of the corners that the line of rubber is starting to come down. It's quite visible. Somebody just go wide there in corner 4.
Yeah, here's the rundown to turn number 4. We definitely had a driver not quite making that corner. Whether they used the runoffs or just kind of worked it around, I think they may have got around the corner. But indeed, new tires, again, new drivers, everybody pushing hard. Like I had said before, 13 rookies in this field, the largest field we've had since the Anderson Promotions took over the Star Mazda Championship back in 2013. 22 cars. Our previous high was 21 on a number of occasions, but 22 cars. Very talented race car drivers, but many of them, Todd, have never run this track here at St. Petersburg, so expect more and more from them every time they hit the racetrack.
A testament to the USF Pro Championships that the field for USF Pro 2000 has grown to 22 because of the proven path. You can find your way up through the ladder system, make your way through the USF Pro Championships. The goal, Indy Next and the NTT IndyCar Series, and we've seen drivers who have completed their climb up the ladder and having success in the IndyCar Series as well.
Yeah, you look at the race winners from last year, right? All guys that we've seen come through the USF Pro Championships. 13 drivers in the field for Indy Next, actually 14 now with the addition of Michael D'Orlando at Andretti Cape Motorsports for this weekend. 14 drivers from our USF Pro Championships all up in the Next program. You go back to 4 straight champions who have worked all the way to IndyCar. Christian Rasmussen being the newest one as well. So it's proof positive. You win here, if you have the success and win a championship at USF Pro 2000, you're pretty much destined for the NTT IndyCar Series, and that's what every one of these drivers is chasing, the opportunity to keep going and that big scholarship that will help them get to Indy Next in 2025.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars at all levels of the USF Pro Championships, which is the key. It's necessary for drivers to have those resources to be able to climb and further their careers.
Yeah, for these drivers here, over $680,000, the scholarship to move to Indy Next in 2025, to be part of that growing program as well. And again, so this session's a 30-minute window. Let me kind of lay things down here. If you're new to the program, following either here at the racetrack or, of course, with the YouTube channel or our USF Pro Championships app, a 30-minute window to get a guaranteed 20 minutes of qualifying. So if we go green to checker, it'll be 20 minutes. It won't be the full 30, but if we do have that red, we'll be able to give them more time. It's not guaranteed, a maximum of 20 minutes. So indeed, you see the clock winding down here. At this point, 13 minutes and 12 seconds still to go. Watching these drivers just start to put laps down. And remember, I would expect pretty soon, if they're going to come into pit lane, probably the time to do it, right? You don't want to wait too long because you got to go back up, get the tires up to temperature, and then go back to work.
I was just going to ask, as we're going under 13 minutes remaining on the clock countdown, is when do the drivers make that decision? You've run a couple of laps, you've decided if you like the changes or don't like the changes, you've tried to exact as much as you can out of this fresh set of tires. You will get to a point where it's, okay, the good qualifying has gone out of them. That's when you make the dive to pit lane.
Get yourself to pit lane, and ideally you'll have a feel like, listen, we made these changes, I put new rubber on. New rubber always is going to give you more grip. Maybe I want a little bit more. Can we change this on the dampers? There's not a lot you can change on these cars other than the wing angle and a little bit of in the dampers themselves. So that's kind of the key for the drivers here now is getting that feedback to their driver or to their engineers. Right now, Lockie Hughes on top with a 110.522. Not sure if we'll get down to the 109s or not. Danny Jaselski, the rookie driver for Turn 3 there. Turn 3 is 1-2 with Lockie Hughes and Danny Jaselski now up into second. Chase Denmark in third. Liam Skeets, driver who was very impressive in the Formula Regional Oceania Championship this past February, was a winner of the New Zealand Grand Prix. Great to see him over here with TJ Speed, being told it may only be a one-off race right now here at St. Petersburg. But, man, if he can get something done, watch for Skeets to potentially be back for the next round at NOLA Motorsports Park. Christian Brooks now works his way up to third. There's a guy, if anybody's got a pedigree here at this particular event, it is Christian Brooks. He's won in USF 2000. He won in the USF Pro 2000 as well last year, coming off a disastrous 2022 when he stuck it in the wall there in qualifying. Hughes, Jaselski, Brooks, Chase Denmark now fourth. Simon Sykes, your USF 2000 champion from last year in the USF Pro Championships livery, that scholarship livery. He's now up into sixth spot as Liam Skeets has gone to third. Braden Ease for Exclusive Autosport currently in seventh. Ethan Ho from Turn 3 in eighth. Hunter Yaney from TJ Speed in ninth. And Matt Clark, the Canadian for D-Force Racing, rounding out this early top 10.
Mac didn't run as many laps as some of the other competitors this morning. We're not sure if there was if he had any issues or not. They received one of the cars diving to pit lane, so they've made the decision. Now is the time to come in and make that switch. This is also opportunity you could adjust further as well. Limited in terms of what you can adjust, but you could make some additional changes if you decide you want a little something more.
And listen, there's always as easy as tire pressure, right? Number one, but again, you could change wing angle. It's not something you normally do during a session like this. Maybe a little bit here in the suspension itself. Drivers themselves in the car really only have the ability to change the brake bias on the car. So not a lot that you can do. Tire pressure, of course, being one, and we'll see what the drivers do as they come in. A number have come into pit lane to get things underway here. Not surprising at all. I believe Skeets, Denmark, Sykes all into pit lane. I think Braden Eves in there as well. Nikita Johnson. Johnson, a winner here last year in USF 2000, and then jumped up to USF Pro at the penultimate event of the 2023 season at the Circuit of the Americas, promptly won. So, hey, yeah, I can do it, trust me, in the category. So he's the local driver. Everybody's watching Nikita Johnson from St. Petersburg. Big party on Wednesday night at O'Malley's, kind of the kickoff to the event, and he was front and center there as well. And again, we'll see what happens here in qualifying. And again, let's put this out here. Only one qualifying session for 2 races. So your fastest lap sets the grid for race number 1. Your second fastest lap, the first factor for race number 2. If you were able to go faster in race number 1 than your second fastest lap, we'll use that time instead. So essentially 2 times. You need to get 2 quality laps in here to qualify for both races.
Again, this is part of the learning process for these drivers as well, managing the equipment, understanding the rules of engagement as well. So yes, I want 2 quick laps. If you find yourself with maybe not the best second lap, that'll be something that will be top of mind in your race tomorrow. When it's an opportunity to improve your qualifying position.
Exactly that. You know, we expect the grip levels to potentially be a little bit higher tomorrow as well. The first race for these drivers just before the noon hour will be an 11:55 start, I think, for the USF Pro 2000. They get their first race tomorrow. Our drivers in USF 2000 will qualify right after this, and indeed will race this afternoon at 4:20. If you're watching on the app or on the YouTube channel, between sessions, we're going to run last year's final episode of our Climb documentary. Perfect opportunity to kind of hang out before we roll back in here for qualifying for USF 2000. And again, a number of drivers have come into pit lane to get things changed up here. Lockie Hughes, Danny Tuchelski, Liam Skeets, the top 3 drivers, Todd, all into pit lane. Now, can they make the adjustments? Can they go any quicker? Hughes already up top with a 110.5228. The Aussie looking very good.
We haven't quite gotten down to we talked about 109s and 108s this morning during practice. Haven't seen it yet. Doesn't mean it won't happen in these final few minutes of qualifying, though.
So if you come in and put new rubber on, which I think would be potential, right? Would not surprise me at all if they come in with new rubber. When they go back out with that fresh Continental Tire rubber, they've maybe made an adjustment. So the new rubber plus a lighter race car, because they're going to burn fuel through this entire 20-minute run. If indeed we do go 20 minutes straight through from green to checker, the car is going to be the lightest it's going to be on that second tire run. So a minor adjustment, fresh tires, lighter car. Would not be surprised to see us at least a low 110, maybe a high 109. So Hughes, Tuchelski, Skeets, Brooks, and Denmark, the fast 5. Sykes, 7th. Eves, 8th. Fast Frankie Mossman now up into 8th. Ethan Ho, 9th, and Hunter Yaney rounding out the top 10. This is kind of time when it kind of gets a bit sketchy. You can see drivers out there in sticker tires. Others may not have pit yet. Their tires are up to temperature. You're going to get it caught up with a couple of drivers. If you have stickers, you have to be cognizant. You have to be spatially aware to let those maybe around you through.
You want to bring the tires up to temperature over the lap or 2 or 3, but also make sure that you have room out on track. You don't want some lap traffic or slower cars that are trying to create space get in your way. It's finding the open track to give yourself a good clean lap. You don't have to worry about traffic in front of you or pushing you from behind.
And if you impede someone because you're warming your tires up and they're on a flyer, that could be a penalty as well. They keep a good eye on that. So indeed, a number of drivers, when you kind of cycle back in, you've got to stay out of the way of those drivers who are on flyers. We see that one driver there from TJ Speed with fresh rubber on. We know a number of drivers have been into pit lane. I think it looks to me like the top 8 guys back out. Tuchelski in 2nd, Skeets 3rd, all chasing Lockie Hughes up front. There's David Morales for TJ Speed. There's Lockie Hughes, your fastest driver in the 44. He's the quick driver now. Ricardo Escoto, who ran for J. Howard Driver Development last year, moving over to BN Racing alongside Nico Baptiste for 2024. Right now, they are 16th, and where is Baptiste? He's 12th. So Escoto 16th, Nico Baptiste, the Colombian from Bogota, up into the 12th spot. That new team, BN Racing, coming back after many years. They started back in USF 2000. I think it was 2017 they were part of the action. So indeed, rolling again. That was actually early days of the HMD Motorsports program with BN Racing working with David Malukas. They eventually turned to HMD and split off, but Bryn Nuttall from BN Racing reestablishing his team here in the USF Pro 2000. Also a top engine builder in national level karting as well. So that shop is filled with three USF Pro 2000s and probably about 100 engines.
Only 100.
Yeah, only 100. He was on the dyno when I was there here in St. Petersburg a couple of days ago, working away. So busy times for Bryn Nuttall.
But so many drivers coming back. Great to see the teams coming back as well. Again, the opportunities in the USF Pro Championships extensive, with about 5 minutes left in this one qualifying session. Drivers will want 2 quick laps to set the grid for both races, one tomorrow and then one on Sunday morning. But again, this is the opportunity. You've made all the adjustments that you can. You've got the fresh tires out. Now's the opportunity to find an open space and track and get that one good, clean lap in.
Adam Fitzgerald went quicker on lap number 9. The Irishman running for Turn 3 Motorsports. Lots of experience for Adam, British and Italian F3. Ran in the Formula Regional European Championship as well in 2013. Started that season off in 2023, rather, down in New Zealand at the Formula Regional Oceania Championship. A number of drivers in our program have done that series, including Liam Skeets. We'll see who steps it up here in the second half of this run. Lockie Hughes looking to start off the season with a pole position run. Watching these drivers come through the final corner, turn number 14. When you're rolling in there, you can see drivers really starting to push the braking zone, kind of diamond that corner. You can't really hug the inside. It's better to push it a little bit wide and bring it back down. The earlier on the throttle there, Todd, the longer you've made the straightaway. You don't want to go deeper into a corner. You want to get on the throttle earlier.
Undoubtedly, they've tried a few different approaches during the earlier practice session today, and now it's the time to find the optimum line through to carry as much speed as you can in the remaining 3.5 minutes of this practice session. How about Danny Dzelski, the second quickest time? Still a couple of minutes to go, but nice job by the youngster.
Yeah, 15 years of age. Let's say that. We have a couple 15-year-olds in this program, both Danny Dzelski and Nikita Johnson. Danny, who runs a lot of radical racing as well, in the seat quite a bit. This is super impressive for him. Maybe leaning towards the success and the speed of Turn 3 Motorsports as well. Hughes P1, Dzelski in 3rd spot. You go down to Tyke Durst now in 7th as well. Ethan Ho in 11th. So their drivers looking really good here right now as they put down the laps they need to be running up front. Here comes Nikita Johnson, though, the local driver from St. Pete, goes to 2nd. A 1:10.78 for Nikita Johnson up to 2nd. Here comes Jace Denmark. What did I say? New tires, minor adjustments on pit lane, a decreasing fuel load. Car is lighter, car is faster. Watch for some drivers to lay some times down here in the last 3 minutes.
Always the way in the late stages of the qualifying session. You have drivers that you don't know and don't expect to see necessarily at the top, and then all of a sudden everything comes together for them in those final closing laps and things shuffle dramatically.
And how about 1.3 seconds separating the entire field of 22 drivers? That is fantastic. Sean Rashid, who was about 1.7 back in qualifying, or practice rather, just warming things up. He's already found 0.8 of a second. He's within a second now for Sean Rashid. So shout out to him, currently 18th, less than a second back of Lockie Hughes. Dzelski goes back to 2nd, Denmark 3rd, Johnson 4th, Liam Skeets 5th, Tyke Durst up into 6th. Turn 3 Motorsports, Peter and Mandy Dempsey, they have put together a hot rod for St. Petersburg. Their drivers looking really good here in qualifying with less than 2 minutes to go.
1, maybe 2 more laps for these drivers. You mentioned it quickly this morning. There is an alternate timeline for the qualifying sessions for all of the series until we get to race day. It's as you approach this area right here, you'll see the checkered flag. You see the stripe along the racetrack. That is the alternate timeline. That's where the timing loop is. The lap time will be recorded. The drivers can pull right into pit lane afterwards and don't have to circulate for another 14 turns. But we'll wait and see what the final results are.
Christian Brooks has found speed. He's gone to within 0.2 of a second of Lockie Hughes. So move Brooks in the Pabst Racing number 19, the bucked up entry, into 2nd. Dzelski now 3rd. Frankie Mossman now working his way up into the 8th spot as well. So we've got some movement further back. That's Brooks right there. Brooks getting caught behind Avery Towns a little bit, so that's going to hurt this lap for Christian Brooks. He'll get one more after this one. That's Avery Towns, who ran USF 2000 last year, made a couple of starts late in the season. Avery from Texas will do a limited schedule of actual events this year, but we'll do a ton of testing in preparation for a full season in 2025. So great call for the Towns family to get him the seat time he needs. Doesn't have all that karting experience that a lot of these drivers have had. Avery getting into the sport a little bit later in his early in his teens, actually, or later in his teens rather.
You see the planning and the approach. Like we've got a plan for 24, but we're already looking ahead to 25, and that's how far ahead these teams and drivers have to look and plan to try to secure funding, try to secure their program, and help develop their careers.
There is Towns there. Looked to me like Brooks probably checked back up, so he's going to be able to he might be able to use him for a run right now, so he gave himself room coming through turn 10, knowing he could get back on the throttle, hit that alternate timing line, because we are almost said and done. Checker flag going to fly here in just a couple of seconds. So everybody on the racetrack right now here, ready to dial things in on a final circuit. Hughes, Skeets, Liam Skeets up in to second spot. What a run here for Liam Skeets in the number 26, the Kiwi from Auckland for TJ Speed, the Tony Quinn Foundation, Omega Rental Cars Machine. Skeets now works his way to second. This is big for the young New Zealander as he works his way up to second. How about Australia P1 and then New Zealand P2? The Americans Nikita Johnson, Danny Tuchelski, and Christian Brooks rounding out the Fast Five. Checkered flag is flown. This is it. Final lap here for qualifying. Does Hughes hold on to the spot? Is he the first driver to qualify on the pole? Bonus point goes for pole position as well as they rocket himself across the alternate timeline from turn 13 to the hairpin turn 14. Everybody looking for more here at the very end. Simon Sykes able to go quicker. He goes up to 7th. Frankie Mossman to 8th. Matt Clark back into the top 10. Right behind Braden Eves in 9th. But again, just see these final drivers, final few come across the line to cap off a clean and green 20-minute session for the drivers here in USF Pro 2000. Again, all qualifying for the Foundation Building Materials Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, which will take place tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow morning, just before the afternoon. And there is your unofficial qualifying results. Australia's Lockie Hughes for turn 3, Motorsports in the number 44 on the pole alongside his teammate Danny Tuchelski, just 15 years of age, a couple of rookies in the Fast Five. Tuchelski's going to roll off on the outside of the front row. Wow, it'll be a good one going down into turn number 1 tomorrow at noon. Liam Skeets, the New Zealander for TJ Speed, up into the 3rd spot. Pabst Racing's Christian Brooks in 4th. Nikita Johnson and Jace Denmark, row number 3. But again, turn 3, 1, 2, TJ Speed, Pabst, and VRD. 4 teams in the top 5. Jace Denmark in 6th. Simon Sykes in 7th. So Pabst Racing 4th, 6th, and 7th. Ricardo Escoto finds big speed there at the end for BN Racing. He works his way up to 8th. Frankie Mossman for Jay Howard Driver Development in the 9th spot, and Braden Eves for Exclusive Autosport rounding out the top 10. That was a big move late there, I believe, for Escoto as he gets himself up, as we said. There's Matt Clark just on the outside looking in. Ethan Ho in 12th. David Morales, his first qualifying session here in USF Pro Championship competition. He goes to 13th. Tyke Durst, Hunter Yaney round out the top 15. Nico Baptiste, Adam Fitzgerald, Sean Rashid, Nicholas Monteiro, Jorge Garciarce, and then Logan Adams and Avery Towns cap things off. 1.7 seconds separate first through 22nd.
What an amazing qualifying session. The first 16 all in the 110s. From 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, barely a 10th in between those times. And as you mentioned, less than 1.7 seconds separates the entire field. What a race we're going to have.
Yeah, the level of competition in USF Pro 2000 this year is obscenely high. We've got some tremendous drivers who have come in from USF 2000. We've got drivers who have already had success in USF Pro. We've got other drivers coming in from different programs ready to play the action here as well. Super excited to watch them go to work tomorrow. 11:55 scheduled start time. Probably a little bit earlier than that for the broadcast. Remember, folks, we are very close to getting underway with USF 2000 as well. For those of you tuning in here on the USF Pro Championships YouTube channel or on the app, stick with us here. We're going to run a little look back at the 2023 season.
As you mentioned, we'll have...
You can feel confident Continental is the smart choice in tires.
Can they handle extremes?
Yep. Tested from the Texas desert to near the Arctic Circle.
Really?
Really.
Anything for the guy who finds that one pothole?
Yeah, road hazard coverage has your back.
For real?
Absolutely.
Were they made by like a bajillion engineers?
Well, closer to 100. Continental. Welcome to the Smart Choice in Tires.
So the opening qualifying session for USF Pro 2000 2024 is now done. The drivers at USF 2000 will be out on the racetrack momentarily. But here we are, the 2024 season underway. But before we get into USF 2000, let's have a look back at 2023 in the final episode of our Climb documentary.
I don't even know what emotions I'm feeling anymore. It's just awesome.
It's just been a really long journey with the team. The whole team deserves this so much more than I do, you know.
Season finale for this program that started all the way back in March at the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg.
Feeling good. It has been. We've been off for almost a month. They had the Coda race last week, and all we could do is sit back and watch the Pro 2000 guys race. So it's really good to be back out at the track, just getting ready for the weekend. It's a big weekend, championship finale, and we're looking good. The cars are fast. It's just ready to get to racing now. Got a lot of confidence, but not feeling anything, not thinking about anything yet. It's all about getting it done first. We'll save that for after we close it out, but it is looking good. We've built up a nice lead since we last talked at Mid-Ohio, and it's just about getting those last couple of races done, not worrying about anything, just rolling in with the same mentality that we've had all year.
Finally is how I'm feeling, as you said. Yeah, it's been a long road, a long journey. It almost feels like, I've been working for this for 2 years. After last year, finishing second in the championship by only 6 points behind. It's like, it's been a long time for us to get here again. And, feel like we're really going to win this championship. So, like I said, a long journey, a lot of good moments, a lot of tough moments. I think we've all enjoyed the journey. But I think now is the time we're ready for it to be over and to get to the moment of celebration and joy with friends and family for sure.
We know we are in a good spot for second place now, but the mentality is to be the champion. For me, second place is just the first loser, honestly. In the end of the day, we're going to everything we have to this championship. And it's not going to be easy. Mayo is strong also, just right behind me on the start. But I don't think we're gonna save a little bit of aggressiveness or pace to the end. I think we need to go with everything we have.
Yeah, it's really been up and down season. Like literally race by race, it's been up and down. But yeah, I think having those up and downs, it's all about learning. Not only about like driving and like the atmosphere about racing, also like mentally as well, just like learning all of that and how all of this works and it goes through you and all that. So I think this year, like it's been a lot of learning, very important year, my first full season, so I get to experience everything. But yeah, I mean, it's just like from the first race, St. Petersburg, to now, like changed a lot with driving, how I am mentally and physically, and just a lot of things.
It's been great working with Exclusive Autosport. We are honestly like a family. Everyone's so supportive, so nice. All the engineers, mechanics, my teammates especially have helped me along this season. Everyone's just been really supportive within the team, and it's been great to have guys that are really competitive in the top 3 spots of the championship to compare my notes with them, and yeah, it's been great.
Our goal coming in is to win the championship. Every year, that's what you want. You want to strive to be the best. This year, I don't think we're going to accomplish that based on the points gap that Simon has. And don't get me wrong, he's done a phenomenal job all year, but I also feel like we've had weekends where we haven't been our best either. So this is kind of like my chance to just close the book on a good note for USF 2000. We want to finish strong. We're fighting for P2 in the championship, really. Like, Simon's kind of got it locked up, but it would be a nice like consolation prize to come home with P2. I would sleep a little bit better at night. But no, just now kind of looking forward to the off season and trying to get on the grid for next year.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a very amazing season. You know, I won in the season opener in St. Pete. That was my first USF 2000 win, and then I was the youngest ever to win in USF 2000. And yeah, we had some momentum carrying on throughout the season. You know, we had Sebring, which wasn't the best. At every other race, I think we had podiums until Toronto. And so yeah, it's been good. We have a strong car. We're sitting third right now in the championship. Mathematically, we could go for first, but realistically, we're going to be fighting for second.
This track I normally call like a big go-karting track,
From what I can tell so far, it's an amazing facility. Some really, really cool technical sections.
It's insane. It's very technical. Into turn one, it's a very tight corner, so usually a lot of carnage, but
the last couple of corners are really high speed. You roll into it in fifth gear, you're at 120 miles an hour, turning the car as hard as you can.
It's faster than what looks like. I know it's narrow and everything, but we have a lot of fast corners over here.
It really takes a lot of confidence to be fast here.
I'm going to try to keep it clean all three races.
We are a few minutes away from firing up the edges to get things underway here for the event here. Looking forward to the Discount Tire Grand Prix of Portland.
Finally be here just on its own is amazing, but to have ourselves in a position where we could possibly clinch the first Drivers' Championship in team history is just another thing in its own. I'm just trying not to think about it until it's done, but it really would mean the world.
And looks like we're underway. Drivers have went outside, and we are green flag racing. Green, green, green. This track here right now playing well for Jacob Douglas. A half a second lead on his teammate Simon Sykes. And he finishes second. He wins the championship. Pabst racing to the wall. And Jacob Douglas is a winner in USF 2000. Look at the face right there for Augie Pabst, because not only did he win with Jacob Douglas, Pabst Racing and Augie Pabst have won their first driver championship. Simon Sykes is the 2023 USF 2000 presented by Cooper Tires champion, and a scholarship worth over $433,000.
I don't have words. This is too much. It's been years in the making. I know Pabst Racing has wanted this for a long, long time, and to finally be able to get it done with them, it just means so much to me, to the team, to everyone involved to make this happen. It's been a struggle to get this year in. It's been hard. It's been stressful, but this makes it all worth it.
Why racing? Because there's nothing like it. It's truly the best thing I could ever imagine myself doing. I'm fueled by that adrenaline, the competition, the desire to push myself to be better, and this is the place that allows you to bring all of that out.
I think everyone have a way to go in life, Since the first taste, I knew that racing was going to make my life different.
Racing it's the balance in life.
glad to give it to them finally, man.
He's done an amazing job this year. We came out of the box strong right from the start and just built on it from there. The chemistry's been great. You know, he's like family to us, and it's just been a fantastic year. One of those, you know, dream years we'll look back on in 20 years and with just, you know, very happy memories.
Yeah, now I can think about Indy next, and I'm pretty stoked for that, man. It's about time I get some extra horsepower going. I haven't driven anything over 200 horsepower, so I'm excited to try that out and, you know, try my turn at that and see how I do.
Just want to say how incredible the competition has been this year. You know, some of the best drivers arguably in the world are coming to race in this series, so the level of competition has been incredible. And you know, although I haven't gotten the results I'd wanted, you know, getting in the top 10, it's just great to be able to race against the best of the best. So it's been a really great learning experience overall, and I think I've grown a lot as a driver and just have learned such good racecraft, and just, yeah, it's been a great experience overall, I would say.
Yeah, to my competitors, I mean, I've never been pushed like this in my life. I have the best parents in the world, the best family in the world, and they push me, you know, to be the kind of person I am and still strive to be. But the competitors in the USF Pro Championships they are like superheroes, man. They're undercover superheroes, and only a few of us know of it. You know, not a lot of the world knows it yet. But I mean, these guys are the future IndyCar champions, the future Formula One champions, the future rally car champions. I mean, and those guys are heroes, man. Like they're heroes.
I think it's been gloves off since St. Pete. I mean, it's been a wild year. We've had a lot of different winners. Like I'd say probably like what, 5 or 6 different winners, something like that. So it's been a bit of a crazy year, and I mean, I enjoy racing with these guys. The competition definitely pushes you to be the best version of yourself. When you have guys that are this good, I think it only helps bring everybody up a level. Some of these guys I don't talk too much off the track, but you do have a mutual respect for. Those guys like Lockie or Simon and Nikita, those guys that you race with all year long, it's kind of this weird bond, but it is nice to see them grow with me as well. Like you have this kind of mutual understanding where you do enjoy, if it's not you winning, to see them winning as well.
When I do get to IndyCar, it's not, oh my gosh, this is great, my dreams are coming true. It's more like, I'm glad I finally achieved my goals, and I'm ready to achieve more of my goals.
I can't say exactly where that's going to be yet. I've got a pretty good idea, but just looking forward to rolling into next year. I've spent 4 years in the USF2000 category, so to be moving up to a faster car would be awesome. It'd be a lot of fun. It looks like a lot of fun out there, so I'm really looking forward to it, but I'm also going to miss the regular season action that we get all year.
Yeah, you know, plans aren't completely finalized yet, but you know, we'll just see what happens, and whatever opportunity I get, I'm going to take it to keep climbing myself up the motorsports ladder in general. So yeah, we just have to wait and see.
I don't have my 2024 plans confirmed quite yet, but I do want to drive open wheel still next year, whether it be this series or maybe something above it. The work is not done after this weekend. It's just beginning, honestly.
We're going to make a hard push, try to find the program that would allow us to move up to USF Pro. It's tough, it's a challenge for drivers, definitely from the financial side, but that's our main focus for next year. It's what I want to be in, and I feel like I can be successful in that as well.
My plans are to race the Indy Pro and then do some GB3 at the back half. But you know, we're going to go into next year like we always have, with winning mentality, and we're going to go try to win the championship. You know, we've been fighting very hard. This year we've had a little bit of not the best luck, but we've always been there, you know. And next year I think we have a very good shot because as a driver, I've gotten way better, and as a team working with Dan, you know, we've just connected even more and bonded better. So now I think we're going to be very, very strong coming into 2024.
You can feel confident Continental is the smart choice in tires.
And they handle extremes?
Yep. Tested from the Texas desert to near the Arctic Circle.
Really?
Really.
Anything for the guy who finds that one pothole?
Yeah, road hazard coverage has your back.
For real?
Absolutely.
Were they made by like a bajillion engineers?
Well, closer to 100. Continental. Welcome to the smart choice in tires.
So the opening qualifying session for USF Pro 2000 2024 is now.
You can feel confident Continental is the smart choice in tires.
And they handle extremes?
Yep. Tested from the Texas desert to near the Arctic Circle.
Really?
Really.
Anything for the guy who finds that one pothole?
Yeah, road hazard coverage has your back.
For real?
Absolutely.
Were they made by like a bajillion engineers?
Well, closer to 100. Continental. Welcome to the smart choice in tires.
After a long Pro Championships presented by Continental Tire, rolling through qualifying, a tremendous run for the drivers in the USF Pro 2000 class. Lockie Hughes from Turn 3 Motorsports, making it 3 straight years where Turn 3 has qualified on pole for the first race of the season. Great for Lockie, of course, the rookie driver coming in from USF 2000 last year, the Aussie, with a fantastic time. He'll start alongside his teammate Danny Dzelski on road number 1 when we go racing just before the noon hour tomorrow on Saturday. We do race here today still. 4 races in total, 2 for USF 2000, 2 for USF Pro 2000. It's the USF 2000 drivers who are getting ready to roll out here to qualify. They will race this afternoon at 4:20. Autograph sessions lining up for tomorrow for both of the categories of the ladder system of the USF Pro Championships. Again, USF 2000 getting set to go. It was Max Garcia for Pabst Racing up front in the morning warm-up session here. A couple of red flags slowed things, but they did get at least 18 or 19 laps in, so a good opportunity for the drivers to learn this track, this 14-turn track here in St. Petersburg. Max Garcia was P1. Elliot Cox for Sarah Fisher Hartman Racing Development was second. And Evagoras Papasavas third, Sam Corey fourth. So the top 4 drivers were returning drivers. Very impressive, again, for the drivers coming back. We always expect the sophomores to be a bit quicker there in the first session, but rookie Hudson Schwartz, just 14 years of age, 5th. Very impressive for Pabst Racing. We'll see how things go when they roll out on track here for a 30-minute window of qualifying, just like USF Pro 2000. If we go 20 minutes straight, we'll call it. They get a max of 20 green flag minutes, so ideally we'll get another green to checker run But again, the season underway here for 2024. These drivers getting ready to qualify for the Anderson Company's Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. My name is Rob Howden, the voice of this USF Pro Championships, and always a pleasure to be joined by the voice of the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, Mr. Todd Lewis. Todd, a great session for USF Pro. We haven't seen a yellow flag or a red flag yet from those guys, which is so super impressive. USF 2000, a couple men, some young drivers stepping up to the forefront.
It looks great with the tight competition in both the USF Pro and the USF 2000 series. We had times that had very little discrepancy from the front to the back of the field. A little bit broader in the USF Pro, USF 2000 than USF Pro. As we hear the engines fired, everybody heading out on track to begin this qualifying session. But again, a couple of quick red flags, nothing too serious, and let's hope for another clean session here and see what these drivers can do again this afternoon.
Again, if you're just tuning in right now on the USF Pro Championships app or on the YouTube channel or on USF2000.com, all opportunities, the way to follow live timing and watch the racing event itself. Here's how qualifying sets up. Remember, this is the first time they've been on brand new Continental tires so far here this weekend. They used a carryover set of used tires from the spring training event at NOLA Motorsports Park last Monday and Tuesday, just over a week ago. They'll take those tires here. That's what we used during that practice section on that dirty racetrack. As you can see, the stickers on the cars, they're all on fresh Continental tires. Our first year with Continental Tire. We're absolutely thrilled with the new partnership. It's come out of the gate super strong. The feedback on the tires has been unbelievably positive. I like the fact that the tire really goes well, but if you push it too hard and it gets too hot, it does kind of fall on the face a little bit, which is nice to kind of challenge these drivers to manage their rubber throughout a race stint. But here in qualifying, they're out with fresh tires. There's 3 sets for qualifying, 2 races. So I would expect to watch them turn around here and come in midway through, maybe get a couple of laps in here, see how the car feels after the changes they've made from the practice session, then come back in, minor adjustments after talking to their engineer, bolt on fresh rubber, and go to work in the second half of the session.
We saw that play out in the USF Pro 2000 series. They would drivers would come in and switch to a second set of fresh tires. We'll see if that plays out here as well. Interesting day for the USF 2000 series. They were not the first teams out on track. They did go out early this morning. They qualify and then they race. That's a busy day for these young drivers.
Indeed, very similar to their karting days when they start off with a warm-up session and knock out a qualifying run and essentially do a heat race that they call the pre-final, and then right into the main events. They're busy all day long, so very similar. All the drivers in karting will understand that. Practice, qualify, race here today. But again, drivers just starting to get things underway. We know we have a lot of people tuning in from around the country and around the world. 12 rookies in this program. 12 drivers who have come through the USF Juniors up into USF 2000, 4 different countries alongside the USA with 16 drivers. We have 2 from Australia, 2 from Brazil, and the lone Canadian in the program as well. I know a lot of people watching in. One of my good friends, Jeff Deskins, is watching. It's his birthday today, so I'll wish a happy birthday to my friend Jeff Deskins in California. A big part of my career when I first started my Shifter Card Illustrated magazine back in the late 90s. Been a good friend for a long time, so happy birthday, Jeff. Glad you're tuning in because why not? Started the IndyCar program this weekend. IndyCar is the star. They're the focus. But this is the future right here. You and I have been talking about drivers in this category who are now running IndyCar this weekend.
That's right. The latest one stepping up, or one of the latest ones, Christian Rasmussen, who has climbed all the way through up the USF Pro Championships and now will make his first IndyCar start this weekend here in the streets of St. Petersburg. And that diversity, you ended up, we got a car on the wall.
Yeah, one of the drivers, either a PAPS car or a VRD car, has overcooked it into turn number 4 on cold tires and planted into the wall. And that's one of the things that can happen with these younger drivers. We know that the older drivers in the USF Pro, maybe a little more mature, controlling themselves. One driver has overcooked it coming into the corner. So that will stop the clock as well. That's one of the key things on this. The clock will stop. As I had said, 20 minutes of max green flag time. If we hit the 20-minute mark before the end of the 30-minute session, then we're done. But it gives us some time to make sure we still got that 20-minute qualifying time. Red flag coming out. All the drivers will work their way now back to pit lane. So interestingly, they've got, what, 1.5 laps? You really didn't get a feel for the tire, and so you pull them off and use them for a race, I would expect.
I guess that would be the thing, is that the planned tire change will become much sooner than originally anticipated. So, but that's the frustrating part too, is any changes that the teams and drivers would have made to these cars from the morning practice session, you didn't get really a chance to test it and see how it feels.
Now, the interesting thing is it's obviously gone through that first heat cycle, right? Not really a heat cycle, but they've cleaned it off a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised if not many teams, or if any teams even change the tires. We have time. Remember, we stopped the clock, so send them back out, let them do a couple laps, get that feel, and then immediately bring them in. The problem right now in a 20-minute session like this, we don't have IndyCar pit stops. It's not a 7.5 second down and away pit stop. It's literally 2 guys going to work on it, so it takes a little bit more time. We do have a replay of this incident that we had happen over in turn number 4, so let's have a look at it. I'm still not quite sure which driver was involved in the session or in the incident, but again, not surprising. Watching them come through. There's the first driver. Oh, totally missed the braking zone and center punched it straight in. That's a driver who just got way deep on cold tires. Was obviously missed a turn in. He was so far on the left side of the racetrack, missed the turn in, cold tires. Not able to get it woed up.
It's just midday on Friday, but I'm going to say and go out on a limb and say that turn 4 is going to be the incident zone for the weekend. It's funny how that seems to play out. We saw one of the USF 2000 cars go off in corner number 4 earlier this morning. We had a car have trouble in the sports car series in corner number 4 as well. So maybe that's the area that's causing drivers a little bit of difficulty. But this is what we find from year to year as well. There's changes in the pavement, changes in the asphalt. Things are a little different, so it changes the features of the racetrack.
Again, remember, these kids are anywhere from 14 to 18, 19, 20 years of age, right? So they're learning a lot about driving actual race cars. They're not like their kart, which was, with them in it was 145 or 345 pounds. This is a full-size race car. I actually talked to Jack Jeffers. He was the driver who brought out the first red flag in the session. He said, I went down to turn 4. I was woeing it up. He goes, I think I probably could have made it, but then said to myself, no, I'm not going to try. And he drove off. So that was a quick split decision. Hey, I don't have this, so I'm going to go off into the runoff. That driver probably could have did the same thing, got into the corner, and instead of getting deeper on the brake to go to the runoff, still tried to make the corner.
And that's the difficulty you run in. That's the split-second decision-making process that takes place as you come to corner number 4. There is a nice runoff area in there. If you find out in time that I'm not going to make this corner, it's simply let off the brakes and get yourself to a controlled slowdown through the runoff.
As I look at live time, and the only driver not in the pit lane and active is Hudson Schwartz, the 14-year-old driver who, again, was a USF Juniors racer last year, won the Lucas Oil School of Racing Formula Car Series here most recently. So he's just overcooking it going in there, trying to push hard, knowing that he's got a race car that can probably be on top, could win a race for sure. Just going a little over into turn number 4. And again, he'll probably won't do that again, right? That's the thing about these drivers. We hate the Reds, but they're all learning experiences.
Green flag is flying. The qualifying session will resume. Drivers will go back out, and we'll pick up where we left off with 16.5 minutes to go.
So this gives us an opportunity, Todd, to talk about the qualifying session again, right? So your fastest lap is for race 1. Your second fastest lap is for race 2, or you can use your fastest race lap. Let's have Hudson Schwartz's fastest lap. He only got 1 lap in, currently sitting on a 1:16.2. Where that ends up, that's where he's going to be. He's going to fall down the order significantly, but remember, he's not going to have a second lap. So he's going to have to use his fastest lap from race 1 as his qualifying lap. We'll see where that plays out. The track usually not quite as warm. Again, that's this afternoon, so maybe it won't be too bad in terms of the fact that not a lot of rubber will be down by that point. It'll be really interesting what kind of a time he can lay down.
This is what we talked about this morning during the practice session. If you have an incident, if you have an issue, it can disrupt your entire weekend. Hudson Schwartz only gets 1 qualifying lap. You want to have 2 at least for the 2 races this weekend, so his program is already going to be altered, and he's going to have to focus on qualifying in addition to the race later on today.
And that's exactly it, Todd. Like, talk about changing the entire storyline, the complexion of your weekend, and we try to get that across to these young drivers. They're like, well, I was trying to go quicker. Yeah, you're trying to go up from 10th to 8th. You're going to move up a row at the start of your first ever event, USF 2000. That's what you risk when you're pushing that hard, trying to find maybe a couple. And we know it's a couple of 10 tenths of a second, right? You're going to move up a couple of spots. But the bottom line is, if you make a mistake and get into the wall, it changes everything. So we're going to see Schwartz having to come from the tail of the field when he had top 5 pace.
So we have drivers who sat for a moment or two on pit lane. Now it's get out, get a lap or two in, get these tires warmed back up to temperature. Again, as you anticipated, not anybody made any changes, so they'll have a chance to feel out the car from any adjustments made from this morning's practice session, and then see where we go and make the switch to another set of fresh tires.
It'll actually be easier because they've been able to scrub off that compound on the outside. When a tire obviously gets put in the press, there's a kind of a molded compound through the mold. It pops out. That first lap, those laps they got in, will clean that off. So the tires are going to be a lot better than they were when they first rolled out. So again, everybody gets a chance to press the reset button on the mindset. Here's what I need to do in this next 4 or 5 laps, right? They know they can break this up. It's not like they're out here running for 20 minutes right now. It's, listen, we're going to do a 5-lap stint to start it out, 4-lap stint to start it out. We're going to bring you in, we're going to make changes, and send you back out on the racetrack with fresh tires. So again, they always have a run plan, but it doesn't always go exactly perfect. When a red flag comes out like that, they have to kind of press the reset button and get those drivers back into the right mental state.
Yeah, there's a plan A, B, C, D, E, F, and then it changes from there.
That's it. Then you're running on the fly after that. So just getting things underway. Lap 3, Max Garcia P1, Evagores Papasavas in second, Sam Corey third, Elliott Cox fourth, and then the top rookie right now, the USF Juniors champion from last year, Nicholas Giafoni, the Brazilian for D-Force Racing, and the number 1, that USF Pro Championships livery, currently P5. Ayrton Hauk up into 6th for DC Autosport. Joey Brienza and Jack Jeffers 7th and 8th. Thomas Schrag in 9th, so that's exclusive Autosport. 7th, 8th, and 9th. And Quinn Armstrong, the Aussie for D-Force, 2nd last year in USF Juniors, rounding out the top 10. Super early, though, as we said, they're going to get a feel for the car right now. They did the morning warm-up session. They came in, sat down with their engineers. What do we need to change? We know we're going to have more grip on the track. We know that you're going to put new rubber on, but what do you want to change, okay? Go out, feel it, come back in and tell me what's going on. We can make a final tweak, put the new rubber on, and you go back out with a lighter race car for the final 5 or 6 laps.
And this is a chance, the opportunity to get that feel of the additional rubber that has gone down since their early morning session. There have been a couple of other sessions out on track. More rubber goes down. The track becomes a little more grippier through some of the corners. You can see the rubber through some of the corners that has already been down. The racing line has been established. So this is their opportunity, and again, the learning process, to provide feedback to their race engineers and make any adjustments that they want.
I was going to say, Todd, for the rookies here as well, their second chance at doing this, right? They go out for the first time for this 30-minute session. There's a couple of red flags. Everything's coming at them so fast because they've never been on this racetrack before. They kind of get like an hour and a half to just take it all in, right? Just let it all flow. They looked at some video. Now they go back and they've done it again. So the first couple of laps are kind of where they picked up where they left off at the end of the practice session. You're just asking so much of these young drivers to really get in there. Like you said, their first day ever at St. Petersburg, practice qualify race. Slower driver here coming through, likely trying to give himself some room. Quite sure which driver. That might have been one of the exclusive Autosport drivers. Again, it's all about gapping yourself up where you need to be. Would not be surprised to see some drivers come into the pit lane here momentarily. We're about 4 or 5 minutes into this run, so we may see somebody come down pit lane here. We'll see if it plays out. Otherwise, everybody trying to figure out a way through this hairpin. This is a very deceiving corner. You come in so quickly into the hairpin, it leads back onto the front straightaway. It's such a crucial part of this racetrack, especially knowing that turn 1 is obviously one of the primary overtaking opportunities on the racetrack.
Is this 1 or 2 corners in terms of how you handle it going through? It's kind of a combination. And you're right, it's how you get out of 14, the final corner on this circuit, and get out to that wall to gain maximum speed, because this is the prime passing opportunity.
A lot of times the drivers will diamond the corner. They'll kind of carry it in and really get the thing to rotate so they can get back on the throttle. You kind of turn it into a diamond as opposed to kind of rolling all the way around the corner. That happens a lot more in the higher horsepower categories like USF Pro 2000, when you can really get that thing to rotate, maybe trail brake a little bit and get back on the throttle early. Mover now is not even a mover actually, but more speed came from Evagores Papasavas. He's less than 2/10 back right now. Max Garcia on top for Pabst Racing. The Miami, Florida driver, even though he ran the entire season last year, Todd, he did not run here at St. Petersburg because he wasn't old enough. You have to be 14 years of age to run. He was only 13, ended up coming into the next race of the season, so his first time here, and he's looking to take full advantage of it. He wasn't able to get a win last year. I want to say a handful of, I think, 3 podiums and a number of top 5s. This is his year to break out, right? Really part of that 2-year program.
So, and that's what we see so often with each step of the USF Pro Championships. Where drivers will come in, it's get acclimated to the cars, understand them, how they work, learning how to work with your team and engineers, and then it's the second year where you're expected to produce the results, whether it's podium finishes, scoring the victories, and creating that opportunity for you to move further up the ladder, maybe score that championship prize funding that will take you to the next step.
Well, you think about Simon Sykes. He was Garcia's teammate last year. Simon had a 3, I think, partial seasons trying to find the money to go racing. He finally got the time for a full season run with Pabst Racing. But think of how much the 14-year-old Max Garcia learned from the 22-year-old Simon Sykes. Just so much able to take from the maturity of him and watch what he did and going over his data and how he managed each race, right? It was just, Simon really had a fantastic year managing things like you would expect out of a veteran driver. 2-time SCCA National Championship runoffs, Team USA driver, F1600 champion. This is a guy that knows how to get the job done once he got the opportunity, but it was Garcia benefiting from all that experience.
3 cars coming through the left-hander at corner number 10 there. Managing the traffic is the other part during this qualifying process. You want to give yourself enough of a gap from the cars ahead of you that you're not going to run into them. They're not going to impede you on that 1 or 2 good qualifying laps that you want.
Here comes some pit action. Evagoras Papasavas in, Sam Corey, Nico Christodoulou, Quinn Armstrong, Michael Costello, Nicholas Giafoni, Maxwell Jameson. Pit time, drivers coming in to get fresh rubber, to make changes. The key is when you come back out on those fresh tires, number 1, don't impede anybody in front of you and bring those tires up to temperature correctly. If you try to push too hard, you burn them off. Number 1, you can make a mistake because it's pretty greasy still on fresh rubber, but if you bring them up to temperature too quickly, you burn them up, you may hurt them a little bit, and that could hurt you in one of the races later on this weekend.
And again, that's all part of the learning process, managing the equipment. The equipment is the tires, and you have to get those 3 sets to last you through the weekend and get the most out of them. So by doing that, bringing them up to temperature in the correct manner a little more slowly, as opposed to being too aggressive too quickly, you manage your equipment and get better results.
First driver getting some speed out of the car here now is Joey Brienza. He'll jump up a spot, gets himself a little more space. They're about 0.7 of a second back. Top 12 drivers separated by less than 0.9 of a second. Hudson Schwartz, the driver who wrecked early. Remember that 1:16.2? That's got him 20th on the grid. So he'll start first race 1. His first race at USF 2000, the very tail of the field. In the outside of row number 10. He's going to have a really fast lap in race 1 to try to move his way forward. Again, just that little mistake just changed the complexion of his entire race weekend. And listen, he's got a long career. Hudson's a great driver. This is going to be a huge learning experience for him.
Absolutely, and this is the shift in the understanding of expectations for this weekend as well. It's like, look, you are going to start on the back row for race number 1. You're not going to pass 20 other cars to get to the front.
Exactly
so the idea is to pass and learn and gain as much experience as you can, and at least get 1 really good lap to improve your position, your starting position for race number 2, and then have the opportunity to achieve the result.
And it's USF 2000. There's a potential for having a yellow flag. So if you get a couple of passes early, you make some moves, stay out of trouble, don't be in that yellow flag. You can still find himself back comfortably in the top 10. You never know what could happen, knowing that in practice he had top 5 pace. And of course, whose data does he have to look at? The guy P1 right now, his teammate Max Garcia, and then his other teammate Sam Corey in 4th. So there's going to be great data for Hudson to look over. The video he's going to be able to watch, so I expect him to be very racy when we get at it. Wheel-to-wheel racing this afternoon as well. Like, our broadcast starting at 4:10 this afternoon. We're getting ready to go racing already here on a Friday for USF 2000. Garcia, Papasavas, Cox, Corey, and Christodoulou. Now the top 5. Max Taylor in 6th. Ayrton Hauk up into 7th. Joey Brienza in 8th. Jack Jefferson 9th. And Quinn Armstrong rounding out your top 10 right now. Nicholas Giafoni, last year's USF Juniors champion, now 11th. Xavier Kokai out of Australia, the Formula Ford racer for Australian Formula Ford for VRD, now 12th. Thomas Schrag, 13th. Cole Kleck, 14th. Michael Costello, Maxwell Jameson, Lucas Facuri, Carson Etter, Brady Gold, and Hudson Schwartz cap off the 20 drivers. 5.5 minutes still to go, and as we know, these tires now coming up to temperature. starting to get a little bit lighter. They're going to be quick. The drivers who are new are now starting to get much more comfortable in the situation. They're kind of into that groove, because it does, Todd, take some time to get into the groove, right? Get a feel, start pushing those limits a little bit, maybe a little closer to the wall here and there.
First laps in the car, first laps on the streets of St. Petersburg. There is definitely a learning curve, and you're right. The objective is to stay off the walls, but you also need to get close to them to get maximum speed out of the car. So it's a work in progress to get a little closer and a little closer without going over the line and brushing off the speed or maybe causing even further damage. But under 5 minutes now, we'll get a couple of more laps from these racers before they take that timing line for the final time and set the grid for race number 1.
Yeah, I would say get ready. We had the first move. Sam Corey has gone into second. The driver to Cornelius, North Carolina, the number 23 machine, Sam Corey, working his way up here. Corey with the red line oil, Stilo, Simpson Race Products, number 16 for Pabst Racing, 7th last year as a rookie in USF 2000, was a race winner back in 2022 in USF Juniors. A very talented young driver and a fantastic young man as well. Man, one of the coolest cats out of the race car as well. Sam, just a very polite and quality young man. I look forward to seeing what he does working his way up through the ranks, as he has got all the talent, a full package for Sam Corey, now up to 3rd position. And again, as a sophomore driver, this is your chance to shine, right? We've seen so many drivers come through the ranks their second year the best. Yeah, we've got a couple drivers who storm through like a Kyle Kirkwood, straight in, win the championship and move on to USF Pro 2000. But nonetheless, really that 2-year program, you learn the first year, you win the second year, is kind of what has taken drivers all the way to the NTT IndyCar Series since back in 2010.
Great to see the progress of these young racers as they make their way through. Some of them will have completed the USF Juniors over the last year or two, now made their second step up to the USF 2000 Series with sights set on securing that scholarship that will get them into the USF Pro 2000 Series and a little bit closer to the ultimate goal of the IndyCar rides.
Max Garcia finds more speed up front, 113.5, pads that lead over Evagoras Papasavas by over 0.3 of a second now. Corey Cox and Michael Costello, the rookie for Jay Howard Driver Development, now up into the 5th position. Costello, so impressive, 3 times the winner last year in USF4 competition. Great to have him in the USF Pro Championship paddock this year, and he is a talented young driver up to P5. Here comes Nico Christodoulou as well, winner in Toronto. We already know he can get around the street circuit, the Canadian winning in his debut last year for VRD Racing.
That's a pretty good way to make an impression when your debut is in your hometown and you score a race victory. So great to see Nico Christodoulou, who has spent the last couple of years kind of plying his trade in Europe and exploring that path, but has come back now to North America with the opportunity to grow his program and move forward with the USF 2000 Series, and signed on for a full season now. We'll see what he can do and what he can accomplish. Great start with a victory last year.
Yeah, and got a chance to drive a USF Pro 2000 car at spring training. The teammate of Nikita Johnson, Sean Rashid, who's here this weekend, couldn't do the test, so they put Nico in the USF Pro 2000 car, and he was great there as well. Obviously, a full season in USF 2000 will obviously, I would think, line up next year for a Pro 2000 program. So Nico, we expect him to be a driver to watch all year long for VRD Racing. They have proven to be a race-winning operation as well. But again, this last couple of minutes, who can pull it out? This is, I always like this, because qualifying is all about having, of course, everything lined up, right? You need to have an open racetrack in front of you. You need to make sure the tires are up to temperature, the pressures were correct. So really in this stint, when the tire gets to its optimum, the pressures are perfect, right? So that's the engineer side. The drivers have had to get the tires up to temperature so they haven't burned them off. They need to gap themselves so they're not slowed by another car. The fuel load's going to be perfect. They've got just enough fuel in it, so it's going to be super good at the end. And then the driver can't make any mistakes.
Then it's in the driver's hands to have that perfect lap.
That's all it is. That's the equation.
That's right. 3D chess.
Exactly. It's unbelievable. That's what it takes to put qualifying laps. It's not just about banging out a good lap. It's about everything coming together on that one magic lap where the tires are their best. Everything is absolutely 100%. We'll see who does that later on in the run, because remember, with a minute lap to go here, watch for the tire pressures to be where they need to be. The cars are getting super light. Sam Corey finds more speed again. He goes up to a 113.4. He's less than 0.2 of a second. Garcia and Corey 1-2. It's a Pabst Racing front row lockout as they run on the racetrack. Less than a minute remaining in qualifying for USF 2000. Papasavas in third. The lone car for Sarah Fisher-Hartman Racing Development, Elliott Cox in the drive planning, number 67 in fourth. There's going to be 50 or 60 or 70 drive planning guests here this weekend, so we hope they have a fantastic weekend. Elliott taking that car up to P4 right now. Christodoulou 5th, Giafone 6th, Armstrong 7th, Costello 8th, Taylor 9th, and Ayrton Hauk for DC Autosport up into 10th. Final couple of seconds. These drivers, Todd, right here, are going to get by the timing line. They're going to get one more lap.
And that's it. The timing line for qualifying is back a little further on the racetrack so that you can cross the timing line and then duck into pit road without having to circulate around the course one more time. Checkered flag has flown, so this will be it. This will be the final lap for these drivers to make their best impression in qualifying in the USF 2000 series to set the grid for race number 1 coming up, going green at about 4:20 this afternoon.
So let's call it in. Does anybody have anything here on the final lap? Right now, Garcia and Corey, P1 and P2. A 13.3 for Garcia, 1:13.4 for Corey. You got to go back 3 or 4 more tenths to Evagoras Papasavas in third. So the Pabst Racing drivers have put down really strong laps here out front to lock out the front row. But again, we're not done, as I said. Everybody ready to finish off their final lap here. The drivers coming through the 8, 9, 10 combination. End of that straightaway out of the kink, turn 9. You can see the bay there to the left-hand side. Run out of turn number 10 through the kink of 11 and 12. The chicane coming through. Back here, does anybody have any speed? Joey Brienza finds more pace. He'll go to 12th. Nicholas Giafone on the last lap from the outside, the top 10 to 3rd. Giafone putting it in on the final circuit. The Brazilian for D-Force. In the number 1, the USF Pro Championship Scholarship colors goes P3, a big one for Nicholas Giafone. Impressive run for him. Papasavas gets moved down to 5th. Any other movers? I don't think so. Just outside the top 10, Jack Jeffers, Joey Brienza, Xavier Kokai. And here is your top 10. The unofficial results for qualifying for USF 2000. Max Garcia and Sam Corey. It's a Pabst Racing front row lockout. Nicholas Giafone, last lap heroics from the Brazilian. He goes to 3rd with a 1:13.7. But they'll sit down and say, man, we're over 0.4 of a second off the pole. We need to find some more speed. Evagoras Papasavas ends up in 4th. Elliot Cox in 5th. Nico Christodoulou in 6th spot. Max Taylor, Quinn Armstrong, Michael Costello, and Ayrton Hauk round out your top 10. Number of different teams in there as well. Pabst Racing, D-Force, Jay Howard, Sarah Fisher, VRD, D-Force, and DC Autosport. All in the top 10.
Impressive runs by Garcia and Corey to put it on the front row. Those two very close together. But then from 3rd all the way down the rest of the grid, it's a second and a half that separates the entire rest of the field.
It's less than 2 seconds for the entire field in USF 2000. Hudson Schwartz only got the 1 lap in, and he was 3 seconds off with 1 lap in. So Hudson's going to come from the tail of the field, but less than 2 seconds separating the top 19 drivers. Again, we had the same thing in USF Pro 2000 as well, that you can't ask for much more. Qualifying is done for both categories, folks. Let's have a look. We are back at it this afternoon. 4:10 scheduled start time for the broadcast here for USF 2000. Pabst Racing Pro 2000 driver Jace Denmark will join myself and Todd Lewis here in the booth. They're back again. The pro drivers racing tomorrow at 11:55. The USF 2000s cap off their race weekend at 4:45 Saturday afternoon, then bright and early on Sunday, 8 a.m. USF Pro 2000 will wrap up their doubleheader. Todd, that wraps up everything from here. Those of you tuning into the live broadcast, make sure to join us. 4:10 this afternoon, race number 1 for USF 2000.
Thank you, Rob Howden. Terrific quality.